Greetings, dear hearts. Welcome to this year's edition of the Global Wisdom Gathering, Dreaming the New Earth, on the theme As of the Stars, So of the Earth, where we're in conversation with keepers and guardians of ancient truths and teachings about where we come from and where we're heading as a collective. Visionaries, medicine people, practitioners from a variety of backgrounds, offering us all this time for sacred learning. And in this edition of Dreaming the New Earth, we zoom in on what our place is in the true cosmic origins and story of humanity, as well as our deep connection to the Earth. What guidance and insight we can find in the starry realms and in our ancient history for this journey of awakening here on Gaia. I'm your host and guide for this event, Clara Nisiri, and for this session, I am delighted and truly honored to be with Jyoti Ma. Hello, Jyoti, and welcome. It's again such a pleasure to have you on this event and to be speaking with you today.
I am so honored to have received this invitation, particularly in this significant moment of choice that we're standing in together as humanity. So, as I was listening to you open us up today, I was really in so much gratitude for the way that you have brought this together. And certainly the instruction nature must be giving you to have called us all together in this way. And we must now listen to nature because she's going to help us know how to walk through this chaotic moment where she's creating something brand new. So thank you for all that are out there listening. I'm looking forward to us sitting down by what I call the sacred fire of inspiration and sharing with each other who we are.
Thank you so much, Jyoti. That's absolutely what's happening. Just following the guidance and even through some challenging times, being able to just continue with creating this beautiful gathering that has come through from the subtle realms for sure. And just to introduce you briefly to those who may not know, our guest speaker today, Jyoti Ma, is an internationally renowned spiritual teacher. She has cultivated projects that demonstrate ways of life that honor the earth and all peoples. As the grandmother vision keeper of the Center for Sacred Studies, she co-founded Kayumari with spiritual communities both in America and Europe. Other projects she has helped to convene are the International Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers and the Unity Concert. She is the founder of The Fountain, and its mission is to restore an economic model that is based on reciprocity and collaboration, guided by nature and the sacred. Currently, as a delegate of the Mother Earth Delegation of United Original Nations, a collaboration with The Fountain has grown, creating a global movement for and with the earth that is ready to activate the new day. Yes, and today Jyoti Ma will be sharing with us about the eagle and the condor prophecy, the new dawn arriving. This is absolutely perfect to be talking about on this event and in these times, in these last few years as we come to, we're in these times of such uncertainty and chaos. It feels like, but there's so much, exciting. There's so much of an exciting acceleration of things that I can't even speak right now. So I'm so excited to speak with you today, and yeah, I'd love to begin with going a little bit into your personal journey, if we may, and how you found yourself, how you find yourself in this work in service that you are doing now, and having aligned your life with the sacred path. You have a very rich history and life experience, and I think, yeah, just to give a little bit of context for people to understand what place it is that you speak from.
One of my elders told me a long time ago that there is a story stalking each and every one of us. And that when our soul is ready, when it's ready to hold its full numinosity of its authenticity, then that story pounces on us and swallows us. And we walk the story. They say that's the last choice you make for your life because after that moment, then your life is never your own. You know, you're an instrument of the divine. That's how I know it. And so that's kind of what happened to me. Some 40 years ago, that story pounced on me. And little would I know, because I didn't have aspirations with any of what my path began to open to. But it first put me into a place where community must grow. And so it was really about coming back to our baseline. And I had gone through a 13-year awakening process that really crafted this vehicle of service, my body, my life, and this instrument, I'd like to call me, um, so that we could first, the way the line looks behind me is help wake yourself up and help others awake and come in together as a community, spiritually intentional community, so that you can learn how to come back and live original way of life based on mother law. And when we came together as a community, we didn't understand any of these things. All we knew is that we wanted our children to step out of the box of throwaway society. We no longer wanted to contribute to that kind of thought form, you know, where when my car gets too old, I throw it away. When my washing machine gets too old, I throw it away. When my relationship gets too old, I throw it away. A throwaway society. And we didn't know how to get there or even what this intention was about. All we knew is we all shared the same intention. We wanted our children to grow up understanding and remembering themselves as part of nature and enter and restore that connection so that we could enter into dialogue with this creation. And that has occurred because my community came together before we got land and then intentionalized ourselves that way. But in 1995, we got this beautiful top of a mountain that we began to all gather at, and it brought people from all around the world to learn from the teachings that were coming and from the elders that came up our 14-mile logger road to find us and to start initiating us into different ways and long prayer lines that go back to that original time and have been carried unbroken till now. They began to initiate us in that way. And so we ended up with a mission that brought these different ways of prayer together with the understanding and the instruction that we were to keep them separate. We were not, they were supposed to be unbroken, so we had to honor them in the way they were passed to us. We were not to mix them or change them. We were to protect and keep them safe and walk them through the doorway of the millennia and hand them back to me, she said, because I have something we're going to do. And that would become a moment when we were all beginning to receive a prompting inside our community called Kayamari, which is the Huichol spirit of the blue deer, which they say watches over the portal to the other worlds. And wherever Kayamari walks, medicines grow to heal communities. And we hadn't met the Huichols at that point, but three of us went away for 2 weeks to gather the name of our new community, and we all came back with Kayumari. Later, we would find out that we were the fawning grounds for the deer and all the mountain range where we lived. So we had hundreds and hundreds of Kayumari that were roaming this place where we came to sit and grow our families, birth our families, bury those as they left to go back to creator and take care of life and all between, all the coming and the going of life. So that's kind of what started my walk and helped me remember things. And it was probably about the third year of that we awoke and realized we were in the middle of being initiated and instructed with how to care for prophecy, and the eagle condor prophecy was all around us, and we were already assisting it in some of the things it needed carrying out. And since that time, we have been in service in that way, and it has prepared us for the moment we're all standing in right now, and it is now instructing us in what to do in this moment we're not lost in the chaos, we're poised in the chaos. That's a long answer to your question.
That's great, and yeah, brings us to the next question, which is precisely around prophecy and the theme that you bring. And yeah, we have prophecies from many different indigenous traditions around the world, ancient prophecies that contain these powerful teachings, uh, to learn to navigate these times and this process of ascension of the earth and being able to surrender to her process. So, could you share a little bit about what this prophecy is? And yeah, let's start with what is it and where does it come from?
Well, let me touch on the ascension process you mentioned for Mother Earth, because I think it's the bigger story. And every way I've been taught, every 26,000 years, the Mother Earth goes through a big cycle. Uh, she is she is in the last little bit of this 26,000 year cycle we've been going through, and her instruction was about separation. And many prophecies through indigenous nations globally speak to this moment that we're all standing in. In India, when I was there and on pilgrimage, and many of the sacred ashrams, they would have a clock on the wall, and it would show the from 12 to 1 was 2,500 years, from 1 to 2 was another 2,500, and so it went all around until 26,000 years. And the very last sliver, it was always a dark sliver. They call that the Kali Yuga, and that means it's the ending. And it's moving us into the next 26,000 year cycle, which will all be about unity, coming back to the oneness of who we are. So, in my world, we're kind of returning to the first place where we started, but we're coming back with an understanding and a maturity of our spiritual selves that is going to be in the heart. For the Mother Earth right now is moving into her heart region. Most all elders speak about it that way. It will be the first time that we'll be able to be human beings, because the way Grandmother Rita Blumenstein, which was part of the International Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers, she was Yupik from up in Alaska. She said that her grandmother was talking about these times, and that in the original days, all the birds were white, but then they turned black. And she said we would know when we were moving from these bottom chakras, the earth was moving out of her bottom chakras, where she taught us all about survival, our primal instincts of survival. Now we've learned those, so we're about to move from that third chakra into the fourth chakra, into her heart. And when that time comes, her grandmother said, the birds would turn white to let us know we were in the midst of it. And when the grandmother Rita was part of the International Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers, we had our very first gathering with them in 2004 in Upper State, New York. And Grandmother Rita was one of those 13 that came. And at one point during that weekend, when we were all together lighting our first holy fire, she told us a story about when she was 9 years old. When she was 9 years old, her grandmother came and sat her down and said, Rita, when you are old and gray like me, then you're going to be asked to sit on a council of 13 Indigenous grandmothers. And you must accept. And I have made some bundles. I've gathered 13 sacred stones, and I have gathered 13 white eagle feathers. And you must keep these bundles safe until that moment when you are called. And when you go to that first table with the other grandmothers, then you must pass these bundles out to everyone. Take one for yourself and sit down and know I'm standing behind you, and the times that we've been preparing for have arrived. There wasn't a dry eye in the audience that day. But these are the kinds of validations with prophecy that come in. And that brings me to the story of what you asked about the eagle condor prophecy. You know, many nations have different prophecies that are preparing them and us now because they share this with us. What's such a selfless act for all the history that they have endured, that they are now coming to this world table, with each one of us bringing our own line of authenticity to declare it at the world table. And they're coming with this line unbroken of instruction from Mother Earth herself, so they can assist us in the weaving of the tapestry of the new dawn. So the Earth was going through one of these big cycle changes. There was a landmass, and I'm going to tell you a very short little bit about what I've been told. So I don't mean to do it any justice, but I'm doing it for sake of our timing with everybody today. The Earth that was in North America, South America, and Central America was all one piece of land. Then there were great changes upon the Mother Earth, and as those changes took place, there became South America, North America, and Central America. And it was at that time that I'm told that the eagle condor birthed itself. For they said that when this occurred, the peoples of the North would be flying with the eagle, who would carry the energies of air and fire, so thinking. And the peoples of the South would carry the energies of the condor, that of heart. And at one point, the eagle would almost take over the condor, but just at that moment, they would begin to fly together. And as they did, we would know that we were moving now towards the new dawn. So that's what I know. And I've been going down into Colombia and working with the four original people for many, many years, almost 13 years now. And before that, I'd worked with many nations here on Turtle Island in the north with the eagle. So as I got down into that territory, I started working with the Kogi. And they told us in 2013, we were in a small gathering there in Colombia. They told us then we were about to enter 13 years of the great, great cleansing. And if you think back to 2013 and what we've all gone through and where we're at now, you'll understand that now, as we open the year to 2025, we're entering the 13th and final year of cleansing. They said the ending would fall into the beginning in 2026. They said it was important, and this is the instruction to carefully listen to. They said it was important as the ending fell down to observe it, witness it, so you would stay informed, but to stay focused on that which was breaking through. And that which was breaking through would be carried by those individuals and organizations and movements that were based on the original principles of heart, reciprocity, collaboration, unity, love, tolerance, all my relations, and all life is sacred. Those are some of those original principles. And now, since the elections that are now creating the ripples to start to move, I say the ending has begun. So it's important now to stay informed, and so you know where you're walking. But look around, you have developed cohorts and circles and communities that are already walking these original principles. You've already embodied them. Now you must lean into one another and unify your efforts so that you will understand the strategy necessary to walk through what I call the minefields. And you'll be bright light, bringing and are the new dawn. And you're walking aligned with Mother Earth, listening to her instruction that the original people, the original caretakers of the roots of life, of our, what we call our humanity, you know, It's on that under that tree of life that all life is given shade. And so that's where we're sitting right now. And that prophecy is the one I can speak to the loudest because I've walked the longest with it. Though certainly the Hopi many generations ago spoke about this moment we're living in, and many people have received that instruction and understanding. You know, that there's many, many nations globally around the world. And when the Mother Earth put together a message, she called it Mother's Message, that went out about a year ago. And she gave us a timeline. We've got 2 years where we've really got to listen. Are we going to put her first? Her original caretakers behind that so they can follow the instructions of healing she needs for her ascension. And then all the rest of us line up there because if we do, then we'll make it through the keyhole into the new dawn and we will prosper. We prosper. We will. Now you have to just take a jump into the unknown, but we are prepared and I'm ready.
I'm ready too. I feel very ready. Thank you for touching on that final point of the healing that needs to happen for us to be able to take that jump in, with the trust that's required, because there's been so much playing on the fear and the yeah the where a lot of people are still stuck, in the lower chakras, and if we could go to that for a moment about, what healing is required. We seem to be called to, drop the masks and step into an authenticity that perhaps we haven't actually lived or experienced before, and follow those golden threads, those invisible threads of what is really pulling us forward. And that requires that trust that I mentioned, and healing so many things that we carry, the ancestral trauma, the childhood trauma, and all of that. So yeah, I would love to hear your perspective on that.
Well, we could probably spend a whole weekend talking about that one perspective, but I want to touch on it gently. What comes up when you ask the question is that I'm a water woman in the Native American church, and we had been called together because there was a woman that was sponsoring a meeting for her life. And if for those that maybe don't know about the Native American Church, it's a way of prayer that comes from those original days, and it's you go in at sunset and you come out after the sun breaks the next morning. And there's someone that usually calls for a meeting. Maybe it's for their life to celebrate their birthday, or maybe they lost a parent, or maybe they've got an issue in their life they're really trying to confront, or maybe some of these things they're trying to unpack to really let go of what they don't need to take any further, and really heal and allow their more of themselves to be present in their bodies, be present in their form. And so the Native American Church carries all those possibilities of prayer and work and service to life. And so we were sitting in one. This woman was very well known in our general area where I live. And as a psychic, as a healer herself, she had two small children, a husband that were there with her that day. Some of us that were healers that were going to be assisting in that process with her were called in to come early so we could meet with her and do some work with her and prepare her for the night-long prayer, that vigil that was about to open for her healing. Um, and so that's how this day started and unfolded. Her family didn't come in with her, though. Most of the time, families do. But the children were young, and this was a very new way of prayer. So she was there. Um, Somewhere during the night, we were asking for medicines and prayers and for other people that might be in the teepee that might need help. And a young man asked for help, asked for medicine. He began to tell us that he had been diagnosed with cancer in the last stages. That's all we knew at that point. And so they made medicine for him. And as that was happening, Spirit said to me, pay attention here because now you're about to see how prayer works. And so this young man took his medicine. He went into his prayer. We all sing sacred songs to help him with that healing process. And as he did this, I saw this mask on his face. And then all of a sudden, I saw the mask like tear run down. And as the tear ran down, it cracked the mask and the mask fell off as he threw up and the mask fell off. And then he sat there and he cried. Um, the rest of the evening, I saw this young woman. I never saw her drop her mask. The part of herself that was so identified with being a healer was really challenged by the need to put all of our attachments to identity down and to really just surrender to the moment she was in so she could be empty enough to be filled with her own presence. And then healing occurs, you see. The next morning, this young man spoke up and he said he had come into the teepee because they talked or sent him away and said they didn't his death was imminent and he needed to get things in order. So he came there to pray so he could come to meet his death and be as awake for it as possible. And later on, after many months after this passed, I heard that he recovered and got engaged, but the young woman did not. And I bring this up in response to your question because I think we're kind of at that kind of moment here where we got to be in like that holy teepee moment that we're here praying for our healing as a collective, as a humanity. And we're going to have to allow ourselves to let go of our attachments and our identities in order to be empty enough to hear where we'll be walking in this new life, this new dawn that's coming. You know, it's a moment of selflessness. It's a moment of really looking in the mirror of truth and being humble enough to see it and embrace it, uh, and wanting to be a part of that new dawn more than you're needing to be right, are afraid to be wrong, are caught in all that dualistic kind of way of thinking. It's the cycle of the 26,000 year that we're leaving and we're moving into this new dawn for the next 26,000 years. There's no right or wrong doing. We're just at the end of a cycle. And those that are mature enough will realize this, and for their children's children's children, they'll begin to do the work that's necessary to put down old stories, to heal lineage lines from trauma and history, and to get to the place where you can put that down and walk away from it and into the new dawn. We're all there. Every culture, every part of our rainbow of life. We're all there together in this now. So that's the deal.
Beautiful. I love how you brought in the power of prayer into what you were just sharing. And for me, these gatherings are precisely for that. It feels like it's such an important thing to be gathering the global village, and the elders and the wisdom keepers of this global village, because we are part of this one big organism. And to pray together, I think, is so powerful. So, and at the same time, listening to what the earth has to share with us and through us. And I wanted to ask you, the next question is about that is, how is Mother Earth instructing us and guiding us in this process that she is going through?
Well, in my experience, we are literally, I don't know how this happened. I'm humbled by it every single day and so much gratitude to be of service at this moment this way. She brought us, as I said, down to Colombia, and we've been working down there. The fountain, which you mentioned, it's called the Fountain for Natural Order of Our Existence. And when I caught this vision that the mother wanted this, she wanted to restore an economic model that was based on reciprocity and collaboration and guided by nature and the sacred. I didn't think I was an economist. I didn't think, how in the world can I do this? I'm a woman of prayer. I'm a woman of spirit. But I've, over these almost 13 years now, I've come to understand that she's bringing us back to that original way where life economized itself and all was flowing through reciprocity, and we lived in balance. And we lived in a sacred way with honoring all of life and all aspects of the diversity of life that we walk around in. It's amazing. But the to look now there that she brought us there, and in the last years, and it's a much longer story because I started going down there and meeting with the four original people of Colombia. I've worked with three of the four, the Arawaka, the Wiwa, and the Kogi, though they prefer now to be called the Kagaba Nation. And I went there when I first caught the vision with my sister Loretta Afraid Bear Cook, who's a Gualasu, and that I walked with for many decades for the Black Hills and for sacred territories globally. Um, but we went there to see if I'd heard the vision correctly, and we weren't. We just come on back home. But after days of consultation and dialogues and counsel, they said, yes, it's time for the fountain, and we want to sit there. And and uh, and that's how it's been ever since. So for those that don't know about the four original people, they're called the Elder Brother, and they're seen as the Elder Brother everywhere because many of them still live high up in the La Sierra of Colombia, and have never been discovered by the West. They live in their original way of life, which is very unique. And they come from that life with messages from the mother. The men spiritual leaders are called the mamos, and the women spiritual leaders are called the sagas. And when a mamo is coming, they see this as an individual that has the seed of consciousness that can fully open in themselves. So when they're caught at birth, they're taken into the caves, and they do not see the light of day until they're 9 years old. When they're 9 years old, they come out and go through a set of exams, if you will, to see if that consciousness is fully opened. And it hasn't, they go back into the caves till they're 18. And I've worked with some that were in the caves for 28 years. So they have been raised in the womb of the mother. They have been raised, that consciousness has been fed, instructed, and educated through the womb of the mother. This dialogue with her is very current and direct. And so when they would go into consultation. When they go into consultation for 3, 5, 7, 10 days or more, they enter this consultation to have that instruction from the source. They do not eat, sleep, or drink water because they're absorbed in this source. They come back with the instruction. Our team would walk out that instruction, and then we would hold a ceremony of gratitude for what we'd learned. And then we went back to receive the next set of instruction. And we've done that now for almost 13 years. So in the last few years, the Kagaba, the Kogi, have through a set of stories that it takes too long for me to share with you here. But they asked us to, we started looking for a land trust so we could keep one of our elders more safe because the farmers have bought the land and then they charge rent to the Kagaba, whose land it originally was and still is. And if they can't pay the rent, they beat them up or they burn their house down. That's what had happened to this elder. So we went looking for land trust to secure a safe space. And we discovered how tied up the land was. And we got a team pulled together and we started working it till we found the first land trust. And then the ones we've been working with the mamos that were really down at the base in a little in the what they call Taneka, which is one of the main places with the mamas we have been working with. This was the original. This is the gateway village they call it to that opens to their sacred territories. Then, but the ones high up above had not been coming down, and they invited us to come up there, and we started working with them at that same time then too. We had gotten the first land trust when they asked us to put the second land trust in, and it was at that moment that they came back and said to us that we were restoring a 9-part broken body. And the first land trust had been the head, the memory. The second land trust had been the ears, the sound. The third land trust was the eyes, the light. And the fourth land trust, which is what we're about to start, will be the mouth connectivity, the golden tongue. And since then, they have now told us that after the fourth land trust, the fifth one will be the heart, the sixth one, the navel, the seventh one, the reproductive organs, the eighth one, the hand, and the ninth one, the foot. And then we will have restored the golden body. And as this is restored, a reverberation will occur throughout Mother Earth so that all sacred territories will reap a benefit and be brought back online and into balance. So this is the kind of instructions she's given to us as being an instrument right now for what she needs in her healing process to bring us through the ascension process and into the new dawn, this golden era that will be opening into, because the first 5,000 years of a new cycle are always about a golden era. And many people I work with from around the planet, many people that are carrying Earth initiatives, many people that have movements that are in motion for this Mother Earth, many organizations that have picked up ways to listen to her and what she's asking them to do, whether it's reforestation or models of regeneration and restoration for what she's asking for. But these are the ones that are walking those original principles and are listening to what the Mother Earth needs. And most of the time, they're gathering that instruction from the original people and the relations they have with those original people in the different sacred territories around this planet. So, right now, when people say to me, "But what can we do, Jyoti?" And I said, light yourself up, become your full authenticity and come to the world table and declare the thread of life you carry, whether that's through initiatives that she's been developing through you and yours, or whether that is a more individualized kind of space that you've been brought through in your own mission with life and with soul's purpose. That's how I know we can show up here. Instead of reacting to the moment we're in, we can respond to it unified with an intention that will bring no harm.
Jyoti, I want to ask you about the waters. I feel I've been called and can feel how strongly they're speaking at this time. And you mentioned you're a water woman. And yeah, from your experience and your perspective, what is it that we need to be listening for that the waters are carrying and calling for.
Well, the Mother Earth, she's a water baby. She's a lot of her surface, a lot of her being is all made up of water, whether it's through our oceans, our streams, our creek beds, our lakes, our ponds, our lagoons, our marshes, our forest, our plants, ourselves as human beings. It's a water planet we live on. We got to really understand that. And we're water babies because when we're born, water comes first and then we follow. That should tell us something. And when we take a moment to really understand that, and we realize that water has an intelligence, all life has intelligence. Water has an intelligence, and many of you have probably followed with people that have brought this understanding more into the collective in the last 10 years than ever before. It's that we can pray with water, and water will make an imprint inside of it, what that prayer was about. So if I get a jar of water and I put love on the jar and it sits there with love printed on it, then these molecules of love form inside that water. And when I drink it, I'm drinking love. I'm drinking that coding of life that goes down inside of me. So I want to pay attention to that. When I'm in the shower in the morning or in my bathtub, I'm in water and I am water. So let me wash off and sing some holy chants, or let me sing a holy prayer, or let me say a prayer, or let me have good positive thoughts of what I'm washing off so I can cleanse myself really deeply every day. And because we're walking in such a tumultuous time, we must clear ourselves. You can take a handful of sea salt, you can throw it in a very hot tub of water. And so you're sweating while you're sitting there, and you can wash that sea salt has a natural magnetism. It'll just pull negativity off of you and it'll go right down the tube. And there you are, nice and clean. You can put a little bit of rose or lavender inside the water. It can calm your systems. You can get ghee and you can add it to warm milk at night so that you calm your systems. You can drink chamomile tea so you calm your systems. We have to pay attention to how to tend to our water, the way we carry our water and what comes at our water, how to keep our water clean, both inside and outside. In the morning, you can go out and take a glass of water. You can greet the sun in the new day with this glass of water. You can really speak your heart's wish for the day in this glass of water, giving thanks and gratitude because it's the highest level of prayer. And you can have your children there, your four-leggeds there, and your partner there. You can be alone. But if you start it with that water prayer, and once you finish, you give the earth 4 sips of water first, then you take 4 sips of water for yourself. Everything's lined up with gratitude, and the new day is blessing you in a very different way. This is a little bit about water. We have been gathering water. We have, I think it's 850 bodies of water now that have been gathered in a bottle that's in our center downtown, because we keep collecting. People bring more water. And we're doing ceremonies with water everywhere right now, because if you're going down to your river, start singing to the river, speak to the river. She loves it when you speak to her. Um, Take a moment to be in the presence of water. Water is life, you know. Water is life. And if you'll remember when the pandemic struck and we had to stop everything for just a little while, whole waterways cleaned up and cleared up. The Mother Earth can quickly do something if we'll stop. If we stopped. She showed us something very important, but now we're beginning to forget what she showed us. I hope we'll remember. And a lot of that cleaning and clearing starts with her water.
Absolutely. And the knowledge of this prophecy that we began with, how does this prepare us for the times that we're in and that we're going into, understanding these prophecies or this particular prophecy, and how can we participate in what is happening and what is coming?
Well, I think I've touched on that from more than one place. Take a moment and really sit down and look in that mirror. Are there things that you have not tended to that need to be tended to so you can put it down? Are there areas of trauma that you still need healing and release? Then allow the universe to send that person or that situation that would bring that healing about, and then embrace it and tend to it so that you are clearing your vehicle of the old story, so you're ready to open to the new. Pay attention to that which she's already brought you, because you already have everything you're going to need to make this next steps, but we don't pay attention to it. We don't sit down and really take an inventory of what we already have. We are at a place where in the West we always reach out to grab things. In the Amazon, our community had a home in the Amazon, the Brazilian Amazon, for 22 years, and they called the people of the West the termite people because we eat everything up. We're coming out of a period where we no longer can do that. We must that all of the encoding and the of colonization that has infected all of us. It's a moment now when things are being brought to us that we can see how to unhook from those kind of mindsets and free ourselves so we can flow back into that original mind and thought of Mother Earth that she had for us inside her creation. So we remember ourselves. When you're able to sit with people of the original world and they sing their song or they speak their language, don't get caught in your mind. I don't understand what they're saying. Close your eyes and get still and let that language fall over you. It is from the original realm, and it does code us and help us remember that every one of us has an original root for our family line. Let us water our own root instead of trying to seek others. This is the moment when we must come back to ourselves in order to embrace ourselves and open to who we truly are. Um, that's some of the steps. And then once you've done some of that, you're going to be brought to circles of people, just like what's happened here, because Claire had such a wonderful vision and she followed it. She listened to the instruction she was given. You may not have known why you needed to do this. You may have felt like, I already have so many things on my plate. How in the world am I going to be able to pull this off? You may have been so on fire that it consumed everything else because it needed its full attention, just like when you're birthing a baby and you just got to let go of everything to birth that baby. We're in the moment of birth. We're in the moment of death. It's a death, rebirth moment in time. So we're going to have to embrace that which is dying to complete things with consciousness. And then we can open to that which is birthing and walk into it empty so we can be filled. Hope that makes some sense.
Absolutely makes total sense. And yeah, Jyoti, we're coming to the end of our time together. I feel like I've already heard it throughout this whole session with you, but I ask all speakers, and perhaps you can just recap for us, what is your personal prayer for the new earth, or your vision, your wish?
I'm just going to sit and be still a moment and see what really wants to come. Let Mother herself. If we take a moment to sit still and listen deeply, we will see the part of the new dawn we are. Inside this woman, I see a world that has come back and remembered itself. A world that allows us to be human beings, allows the beingness of life to be what drives life, carries life, inspires life. A world that we are reconnected and the rest, we've restored our connection with nature. So dialogue with nature is an everyday occurrence. It's just a natural way of being in the world. So I can hear the trees when I'm walking through the forest. I can dialogue with them. I can deepen my relations with all relations. The mother said to my community and myself early on that when I was overwhelmed and thought, how am I going to do this? She said, daughter, start with the seed of it all. The seed of it all is about relation. If you start there, everything else unfolds naturally. So, in this new world, this new day, this new dawn, I see a world where that seed of relations has been fully watered and restored and regenerated throughout this creation. I see a world full of light. And when the shadow dances through the light, I see a world that allows the dance. I see a world that has been created out of love in a moment of human choice when we had to choose fear or love. We chose love. I see a world that is full of celebration.
Jyoti, thank you so much for this beautiful wisdom that you've shared with us all today. And if there's any last thing that you'd like to say before we wrap up, how people can find you and the work you do, for example, as well.
Sure. You can go to the fountain.earth. That's the fountain's website. And if you need to talk to me, you can send emails that way. Or you can go through the Center for Sacred Studies.org, and you can send word to me that way as well. Um, I just want to say, as we start to fly off in the four directions, I just want to say that don't let yourself be pulled into a world of fear. And when you feel your mind going there, because it can and it will, things are going to distract us to want us to go there. But when that moment comes, just touch your heart, kind of say, update, I choose love, I choose heart. I choose love, I choose heart. You don't need to choose it for any other reason than you're choosing it. Let it be so.
Let it be so.
Have a blessed, blessed.
Many blessings to you all that have tuned in. Thank you so much again, Jyoti, and yeah, many blessings on the beautiful work that you do and share with the world. Much love.
Thank you for your good thought.